Hey everybody. Well, do you know what this is? I'm here to pay respects at the top of the show to Ozzy Osbourne, who sadly passed away this month and leaves behind an incredible legacy and important, massive importance in the metal world. Like, it's going to be it does now feel somehow just emptier, somehow, this field, now that just one of the greats of the metal scene, Mr. Osbourne, passed away. It is a celebration of his legacy as much as it is a moment of sadness, because he had a veritable crazy train, really, in his life, of ups and downs, but thankfully, I think in the end you could say he had a really incredible career and was very, very influential and kind of an amazing end to it all, ultimately, like being able to still pull off that one more Sabbath reunion like that. That's kind of magical in a way. I personally, the first time I ever heard of Ozzy Osbourne, I happened to see the music video for Gets Me Through, which was one of the singles off of his 2001 album Down to Earth. So I'm guessing this would have maybe been 2000 or 2001 when I saw it, and I don't know. Wow, I guess some kind of preamble before the music video aired briefed me on who Ozzy Osbourne is and his reputation as the Prince of Darkness. And I gotta say, that's one of Ozzy's edgier videos for sure. So it totally sold me on his mystique as just the to me, watching that as a young man, as a rather young kid. It really felt like this was some kind of materialization of darkness, whoa, incredible. So I do remember that I already had some kind of impression of the man from that time. Now later, of course, I looked into it more and I started to get into music more, and I realized that he's actually a pretty cool dude, and he's not, while he's got the Prince of Darkness going on, he's actually a pretty neat guy. Certainly a guy with some moments that he probably is not proud of throughout his tumultuous life. Certainly not a spotless resume, but the highs are there and worth celebrating. And I thought he was ultimately super cool. I'm lucky enough to have seen Ozzy once performing. I never saw Black Sabbath, and that does wrinkle me a little bit for sure. But I did get to see Ozzy himself on his solo tour. It was for his album in 2010 titled Scream. He came to Finland to perform as part of that. That kind of felt, if we're being brutally honest, that the whole album felt like just an excuse to go on a tour, because he only played the one single off of that album and nothing else, and otherwise it was a selection of his solo work and his Sabbath stuff. But still, it was as a concert, it was great that I got to see him, and I got to see all those songs live. He did Bark at the Moon was the opener, and I got to hear, Mama, I'm Coming Home, and I got to hear, Crazy Train, obviously, and Mr. Crowley. It was the perfect thing for someone. If I was going to see only one concert from him, this felt like a really good one. Not to mention when he busted out his Sabbath stuff. Now, at the time, I wasn't super familiar with Sabbath, so I didn't recognize Fairies Wear Boots when he started playing that. That was, I suppose, a treat for all the long-time listeners, but it kind of went over my head. But then, when War Pigs started, and the crowd got into it, clapping along, in the, after the opening guitar bit, and then the play between the guitar and Ozzy singing, he was doing amazingly, and the people were super into it. It was great. It was really good. So yeah, amazing. And I'd say, it really, his charmingness came through on that concert super well. He after a lot of songs, he just yelled triumphantly like, I love you to the crowd, which you could say is such a not metal thing to do. Like, it's such a kind of goofy, bubbly thing to do, but I think that really encapsulated the guy. Like, he had because of the because of the reputation of Sabbath and like all his antics, he had gotten this Prince of Darkness moniker, but ultimately he was a consummate artist and kind of silly, goofy, lovable guy, and it was a real delight, So yeah, really, yeah, it feels weird now that this is the situation we're in, but that last concert of his, that crazy final thing, that huge day culminating with Sabbath one last time playing, just the time this episode's coming out, it's still less than a month, I've seen people compare that to Live Aid, to some extent, and I feel like those comparisons are going to get even more pronounced about like how important this event was now with this added like bittersweet thing happening that Ozzy left us by the end of it all, So it's something. But yeah, rest in peace, Mr. Osborne. Thank you for the music and for the influence you've had on this genre. That's great. Okay, let's go on. I had this whole episode actually already recorded and uploaded like a day before the news came out. So this was just an extra thing that obviously I had to put on at the start of the episode. And now basically we're going to continue with the regular show. Please enjoy. Greetings there, wanderer of the internet, and welcome to the July edition of Metal Albums with Birds on the Cover. If you haven't listened to this show before, this is a monthly show I do where I look at, or I guess more appropriately listen to, but there's also the look at the visual element, at some albums of a metal persuasion. There's a few corner cases, which also feature birds in some form on the cover of the album. So, we go look at what kind of bird is on the cover and what we feel about the cover, and then also, of course, what we feel about the music itself. And we have a good time. So, yes, if you're a long-time listener, thanks again for popping in. I hope the summer's gone nicely, and hope you've enjoyed the year of the show that we've done so far. Let's see what awaits us for year 2 of this goofy music review silliness thingy. I do in fact have a concert report to give, as I have been doing a lot lately. It's been nice going to concerts recently, and this show's been actually a good motivation for doing it, so I have something to yammer about here at the start. But I only have one concert to talk about, with one band featuring in it, so, not a whole lot to talk about this time. We'll get a quick intro, and then we will move on to the actual show proper. But yes, actually, if we are very strictly correct here, this band played already in June. It was close to the end of June, around the time that I was putting together the June episode. So it was a little bit like, but last episode was already pretty stuffed with that Rockfest report and the Soulfly report slapped on at the end there. So, another concert on top of all of that would have really bloated that. So I thought, whatever, it's almost at the end of July. I'll just save this for the July episode. I went to see Broken by the Scream. I've been listening to this band for a couple years now, and it's a band from Japan, and I didn't think they'd pop into Finland, so I marked out when I saw that they were coming to On the Rocks. So, I had to go see them, absolutely. This is, the closest thing I can compare it to is baby metal, of course, because it is a pop idol show transfused with metalcore. So I suppose if I wanted to be really obnoxious sounding, you could say this is the discerning man's baby metal, because this one, the music's a little bit harsher, I'd say, and also the vocals go a little bit harder than baby metal, because 2 of these 4 ladies who comprise the idol part of this band, 2 of them provide your classic saccharine, easy melodic regular pop idol singing. Then the other two, one of them provides some real high-pitched shrieks, like black metal veins, and then the other one provides some real low and guttural, like death metal-y growls. So like proper, like intense metal vocals in this band, but still doing the whole dancing around on the stage routine that you expect from an idol show. I don't think. I think the kind of people who are like, baby metal's a terrible concept. I don't think. Even though the music is a little bit harder here, I don't think this one's going to win those people over still. But if you like Japanese culture peculiarities, this one's a great band to listen to. Certainly, I'm completely smitten by them, and I got even more hyped like a day or so before this concert. Right? Because, I got the tickets right away when it was announced in like April or something. But like a day or so before, I was like, curious, like, can I find any information on the background band? The actual guys playing the instruments, because there's plenty of information to be found about the four ladies who are the idol routine. They are, hold on, I can get their names here. Io and Yayoi are the two harsh vocalists, and then the other two, oh dear, they all introduced themselves at the show. This is. Oh, man. Let me see. Currently, yes. Io and Yayoi are the two, like, harsh vocals, and Tsubaki and Shizuku are the two more melodic, quote-unquote, regular singing. But yeah, hard to find information about the, like, background band. But then somewhere I found that freaking the guitarist and the producer, the guy who like created this project, Broken by the Scream, is also the guitarist for the background band, Katsuya Kumamoto, or known by his artist name, Electro Sonar. He was apparently the guitarist for Kiba of Akiba, which is one of my favorite Japanese bands, a really sick metalcore band from Japan. Anime fans may know they made the theme song for Watashi ga motenai no wa dou kangaete mo omaera ga warui, or Watamote, if you don't like what the hell was that, like, Watamote was the short one. They made the absolutely sick opening theme song for that anime, and like they've been a favorite of mine for ages. I mean, they're broken up now, so when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, seeing this band apparently is the closest chance I have to like the closest you can get to hearing Kiba of Akiba live these days, when you get to hear Mr. Kumamoto on the guitars. A quick tip, by the way, also, as I was looking this up, I could find out one of the other band members from Kiba of Akiba, the bassist, what was his, Mitsumi, I think was his name. Mitsuru, maybe, I think. Hold on. He is currently in Crystal Lake, another, I'd say, fairly popular metalcore band that's pretty making waves right now, I'd say. Yeah, Mitsuru is his name. Yeah, so he was also the bassist for Kiba of Akiba, and now he's in another metalcore band, something that's a little bit more traditional metalcore, whereas Kiba of Akiba was kind of doing the Electric Callboy kind of electronic core thing, a little bit ahead of Electric Callboy. When did Electric Callboy? Well, no, what? It's not important. We're talking about Broken by the Scream here, really. So, with all that in mind, I went to, of course, see them at On the Rocks, a rather tiny venue. I guess intimate is a polite way to say it. So, because it's like a bar and nightclub. So, it's probably among the smallest kind of stages in Helsinki, so it provides a nice, like you're really up close to the band. And I was kind of scratching my head how they were going to fit an entire idol metal routine on their stage. Like, certainly it was going to have like a really tiny feel to it. Honestly, not that like crazy. Like, as I understand, watching what I've watched of idol anime, usually like starting pop idols usually start with this routine where they like kind of do like a small scale show, like in a really tiny venue, and then like that's where the story then grows and grows until they're like doing the whole Budokan arena full, thing. So, this must have been a nice throwback to the Broken by the Scream ladies by going back to like this tiny intimate venue. But yeah, I was scratching my head, like how are they gonna like fit? how are they going to fit the whole show in that tiny, tiny stage? But at least they had fit a full crowd. I was really happy to see that huge turnout for this band, which I was not sure how popular it was going to be here in Finland. Interesting mix of folks, because there were definitely like more traditional metal / rock folk there. Guys with, metal shirts and, like denim jackets with the patches and stuff, all that kind of stuff, or denim vests, excuse me. But then there was definitely also the anime crowd. Like there were folks with straight up like frilly gothic Lolita dresses, or like leaning in that, and then also like colorful shirts and tons of like pins on their like satchels, and that kind of vibes, like the kind of anime aesthetic was also there in display. So it was delightful seeing this amalgamation of subcultures. I was somewhere in between, because I was just wearing a t-shirt, but it was like a magical girl t-shirt, and so like I was somewhere. I wasn't particularly decked out to look ugu frilly, but I did have a kind of cutesy shirt on, so whatever. And yeah, that crowd was like completely packed in the on the rock space. And yeah, the build-up was great when the band finally kicked off, and then my enthusiasm like actually quite literally nosedived. I hate to say it, for a little bit. When the four ladies did, in fact, run on and kick off their first song, I forget which one it was. It wasn't one that immediately jumped to my ear, because I only have their one album, Rise into Chaos, so I'm not super familiar with the rest of their discography. That's the one I'm most familiar with. It wasn't a Rise into Chaos song that they started with. But anyway, the point is that the four of them ran on the stage, and that's it, by which I mean there was no backing band. It was just the four ladies playing, and the music was basically coming on a backing track, and they just provided the vocals and the idol dance routine, And yeah, I have to admit that I was like, oh man, like I actually would have liked to seen the background band play, even if I hadn't known that the Kiba of Akiba guitarist was going to be there. Which, by the way, quick notice, like that's just scuttlebutt I found online in a couple of places which mentioned that he was it. I have Kiba of Akiba's first album, Yeniol. I just in case I checked the list of band members there, and it's really weird. There was not a Katsuya Kumamoto listed there, nor a Electro Sonar. But the thing is that there also wasn't a guitarist listed on that first album. Like, as far as I could tell, it just listed all the other members, like bass, drums, vocals, that keyboards. I didn't notice a guitarist, so like I don't know, like Mr. Kumamoto didn't want to be associated with it. I don't know what the deal there is, but if you believe the scuttlebutt online, he would have been the guitarist back then, and he was not present there to provide the background music for the Broken by the Scream ladies. This was a proper idol show in that we were there to see the idols and doing their routine and their singing, and the music was on a backing track. Fair point. I mean, that's how most idol shows, of course, go, But I would have really, really liked to have heard live instruments. Like, it's just, what can I say? Like, it would have been really, really nice. So I'll admit that the first song, I was like, okay, all right, I guess we're doing this then. Okay, fine. But I don't know. Like I of course by the end of the first song I had made peace with that. This is what we're gonna be doing. Like it wasn't gonna be like the wall behind them like drops down and the band is jamming behind them. Like that became apparent that that's not gonna happen either. So I just threw myself into like the idol show, and it was pleasant. It was really nice. They had pretty good energy, even though, again, like, it felt really funny to have, like, this elaborate dance routine, singing routine happening in this tiny venue, but they gave it their all, and the crowd was pretty well into it. Not the craziest crowd I've seen in the world, and the folks who were really jamming were doing more of the idol thing. They had, like, glow sticks that they were swinging, and, like, fans that they were waving, but, like, they were pretty well along with like whenever like the band called for everybody to like clap or wave or like others or jump and stuff like that, everyone was like pretty well into it, and I thought there was an energy of like everyone was having a good time. And I certainly like after the first couple of songs they started to like do songs off of Rise into Chaos. Like they kicked off Kanjo Cross Counter, and then they did Tokyo Ride. The first two songs on the album, both which are freaking sick. I was like, hell yeah. So like I rocked out at that point. Like I was like doing the more metal thing of headbanging. Like I was like, hell freaking yeah, get to hear these sick, kind of groovy, funky almost like metalcore songs coming live. And the band members were pretty freaking motivated. They were really excited. Certainly, of course, that's the idol thing, that they gotta be like all pumped up, but they certainly were into it. And Io and Yayoi doing the harsh vocals, really good at it. They really killed it, and they really gave it there. Like there wasn't, I didn't feel any like awkwardness because it's not the idol music typicalness to do that, but I didn't sense any like weird or like they really were like into this, this kind of music. And then the backing singers providing the softer vocals, Tsubaki and Shizuku, were also really good. And everyone like in proper like idol group fashion, I thought they did a pretty good of everybody rotating and kind of getting to get the limelight on the stage. So it was a fine idol concert, I guess. So like I was like pretty gut punched by the start, but I had a good time over the hour that the band performed. It was pretty good. I don't remember what the second to last song was now, but it wasn't their hit song Yume Hanabi. So I was like, that's really weird. But thankfully, of course, there was an encore, and they came out for one more song, and it was Yume Hanabi. And by that point, like, the crowd was actually fired enough that a small mosh pit did break out, like, right near me. I was like, oh my god, okay. Which, good stuff that they could warm up to, like, one of those. So, all in all, a really nice concert. But, like, I'm gonna have to be a negative Nancy, and I hope the next time they come to Finland, they actually book a venue where they can bring out also the backup band. I would really love to see that. Now, this was the first leg on a actual European tour that they are pulling, or by the time this episode has come out, they actually have completed their entire tour. And a couple of days after their Finland appearance, they played in Resurrection Fest in Spain, which I think is like Spain's biggest metal festival. If it's not the biggest, it's certainly like among the big ones. So here they got to be on a really big stage. And my curiosity couldn't help me, so I've tried to find, footage of what exactly their performance was like there. And at the time that I'm recording this, there's only one like YouTube short clip on YouTube of Resurrection Fest, Broken by the Scream, and they have the backing band there. So apparently, I guess the band flew ahead of the ladies to Spain to set up for the concert there, and they just kind of caught up after pulling a show here in Finland. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't petty enough to be disappointed and jealous that, like, they actually did have the band ready to play. I mean, okay, so it really does look like a band that's actually playing, because there's also the off chance that the band is just for show. Like, Baby Metal, when they started, as I understand, they had a backup band, but it wasn't like actually, they were actually, they weren't actually really playing. Like they were just there for show, and the music was on playback, just like at this Broken by the Scream concert. So they had like a fake band there to like, for the illusion of live music. But Baby Metal stopped doing that like a few years later. Like nowadays you go and see them and they have a real band actually playing. Like I do believe that one of the two times I've seen Baby Metal, they actually let the guitarist have like a guitar solo in between songs, like actually like get to spotlight them outside of the that band's idols. So I think that also appeared to be like a genuine band playing at Resurrection Fest, but it's a little hard to tell. But anyway, my point is that, darn it, they do have the capacity to appear with a full band, and it just didn't work out now that they were here in Finland, and boy, do I feel like I missed out on a little bit. Like, no, like seriously, I am still happy that I got to see the ladies perform, and like, I've never been to an Idol concert, so it's kind of cool that I did get to like experience that too. But man, like, oh man, the next time they come to Finland, which I think this band is, their iron is hot and they're striking right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if they like maybe come here again. The next time they come here, I really hope they have a bigger venue booked so that they get the full band. And I hope all you people listening will go see them, okay? So I want them to sell out again so that even if the next time they come into Finland, they still don't have the band, I don't want them to be like, well, damn, this doesn't sell. We better not come to Finland at all. I want them to, like, at some point be like, okay, well, there's a big enough crowd in Finland that we can pull a big enough venue that, like, we can have the whole band there, along with the ladies, okay? So I want all you folks listening who are in Finland, I guess elsewhere in Europe as well, just so that they're, willing to do European tours. Go freaking support this band, damn it, so that then I can see, like, I can see the full band play one day. And then, when everyone else is going to be there and they're going to be like, marking out for the ladies and trying to get the signature of the singers, I'm going to be the one weirdo there, like waving the booklet for my Kiba of Akiba CD. I'm just going to be like at the guitarist, like, Mr. Kumamoto, please sign this. It would mean the world for me. Where everyone else will be, completely focused on something else. I'll just be the one odd guy there marking out at the backup band, But, it's what I want, damn it. All right, so that's all. I don't have any other like band news here at this juncture, so I don't think we need to let this intro go unnecessarily long any further. Do you? I don't know. Let's talk about some birds that showed up on metal album covers, and let's see what we thought about them birds and them metals. Okay? Please enjoy. We'll kick things off this month with Burden of Ymir, a one-man black metal project from Canada, and they are providing their 6th album, The Long Winter. This was, interesting looking as soon as I saw this. This is a real case where the album cover grabbed me, so I was happy to pop in and check it out. I mean, the bird is very prominent here. It's very easy to find it. Almost because it almost clashes a little bit with the rest of the color scheme of the rest of the image, I don't know, it's not bad, but that bird sticks out. That big old raven there to the right watching this witch doing her magical stuff, I guess, it isn't doing a lot, the bird in this image, and yeah, like I say, the way it sticks out, I think this image could have worked just as fine without it. In this image, you could have removed it and it would just been this lady here in this image, which, by the way, still would have qualified for this show because you'll notice she has a necklace with a bunch of bird skulls on it. So I would have allowed this image based on that alone. But, we got a proper bird in here as well, so why not? The image would have still worked without that, but, witches always gotta have a good familiar, and we're going for some Viking metal theme here, so, I guess a raven is a delightful choice. So, yeah, pretty good. I enjoyed the bird on this album cover. And yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of this album cover in general, as I mentioned, so, it's not a crazy new concept, of course, for an image for an album like this, but it's just really lovingly rendered and, beautifully painted. This fantasy image. Yeah, I love me some good medieval old-timey fantasy stuff. So this witch lady doing some kind of ritual here in the presumable long winter that this album is named for. She's greatly designed. The background is really beautifully painted. It's all delightful. Maybe if you really want to be a stickler, that big old cast iron pot seems a bit cartoonish compared to, and I'm not entirely sure how accurate, although I'm not entirely sure what, this lady's supposed to be, where she's from anyway. I guess she's a Nordic witch because the band is called Burden of Ymir, which points to Norse mythology. But yeah, I don't know, like that the cast iron pot is a little bit maybe a cartoonish, but I only noticed it after a long while and like really like thinking about this image. Like it's not like a huge problem, but maybe something you might want to call out. Like, okay, alright, maybe I don't know, some kind of clay pot would have been a little bit more appropriate. And but yeah, very, very, very nicely done in painting and delightful looking. So I'm a big fan of that. And I quite enjoyed the music as well. Certainly, I had a good time listening to this album, although it didn't grab me super hard, unfortunately. It did not. It didn't cash in all the promise that this image was writing, you know, I guess. But it's quite nice. Like the first song, like really sets the tone as witches under cloak of night, because it starts with a rather dark, ominous black metal kind of opening. But then it like really quickly kicks in like a nice jaunty tune, which tells you that this is gonna be very folk tinged. It definitely like takes from the folk Viking vibe, so it's certainly like a later Bathory kind of energy that's being applied here. So yeah, if you're looking for that kind of swinging music, you know, Bathory or Moonsorrow or something like that, then this should provide something pretty good. I would still say definitely kind of leans more toward black metal, because like the folksiness is not super heavy. Like there aren't like a ton of fancy folk instruments here. There is an accordion which occasionally comes in. Particularly the third song is kind of fun, Strange Craft, which like starts with a kind of madcap accordion opening. But that's about it, and otherwise it's more the like kind of jaunty vibes that like, you know, makes you want to do a folk dance or something, I don't know, like that kind of energy is in there. And yeah, definitely comes and goes. Sometimes are a little bit more black metal oriented, and I personally I felt like the straightforwarder black metal here was a little bit weaker, so maybe Burden of Ymir, I don't know what their previous 5 albums are like, or you know, if they've been considering maybe just leaning heavier onto that folk. I think it's the nicer vibes here, so maybe that might also just be my personal biases speaking, not sure. Yeah, the best songs are Found in the Embrace of Cold Wind, around the halfway point, which gives a really sick guitar riff that like it opens with. That's got really encapsulates the album even better than the first song. And then the final jaunty song, Forever Frost and Sleep, is a nice marriage of the black metal and folk elements that like also has a nice kind of like it's the longest song. Yes, it is the longest song on the album at 7 minutes, and it like really kind of has a nice kind of like not exactly fading out, but just kind of like burning itself out to like signify the end of the album. It very, very well, nicely set. One last thing I'll say, that this is another example where it seems like the vocals just are really kind of poorly represented. Like they're really like kind of all those echoey effects to make it sound a little bit ethereal, and it's also like really like low mixed, so it just kind of comes off as not super exciting. I've said this before with this one-person project, and this is completely just me making guesses, but I wonder if it could be that the you know, that's like maybe one of the like weak spots of this like multi-instrumentalist person, in this case Mr. Joe Caswell, doing the music. You know, I'm just wondering, like it's completely a guess, but like maybe like the vocals aren't exactly where like this kind of multi-instrumentalist is strongest, so like that's why it ends up sounding like this. It could just be, again, that like this is just kind of on brand for black metal and it's just kind of not my vibe, but I don't know, because that final song also dips into the kind of manly Viking choir chant kind of thing for a bit, and it also feels a little bit like under mixed and like low volume, so it just kind of all throughout here. So I don't know, I would have personally liked a little bit stronger vocals here, but it's an interesting album, so it could be definitely up your alley, especially if the folk stuff or black metal stuff appeals to you. I recommend maybe giving this album at least one spin. It's pretty interesting. Okay, at this point, let's take a look at this month's This Isn't Really Metal, but it's very borderline, so we're gonna bring it up anyway option, as I often seem to sprinkle way more often than I thought. They keep coming up, but here we are. This time I had this come up for me, the debut album of an Australian indie rock band called Daily Toll. And this album is called A Profound Non-Event. And I feel like a significant part of this review is going to be me wondering just what the hell is going on in this album cover image. Like, okay, yeah, so in indie rock, definitely, that seems like the kind of scene to have these kinds of really wacky, like, just hand-drawn, scribbly sketch images, and that's what we're dealing with here. And a part of me is even, like, debating, like, is this a bird? But I'm pretty sure, I'm very, very confident that that is meant to be a bird, that shape of sketches there in the center of the image. Some kind of bird is flying there. But what else is going on in this image? I really don't know, like, something's dangling out of the bird's mouth. My first inclination was that those are Christmas lights that the bird is somehow carrying about. But the more I think about it, like, that thing links to the ears of those three people there at the bottom. So I'm wondering if it's supposed to be like musical notes that fly out as a chain representing the singing of the bird reaching the ears of these people down there. But I'm not sure, because then there's this disembodied face to the left of the bird, which is looking really sad, and it's got a bunch of those dangly bits completely separate from this chain coming down. Like, I can't tell what those then are supposed to be. Like, it's like almost shedding these quote-unquote music notes. And yeah, I don't know what is going on this image. If you look at the Daily Toll text, it's got like a colon to its right. So I think the border of the image is supposed to be kind of like sheet music shapes, is another thing I'm guessing. So I think I'm onto something about this image being a representation of like musical notes. In which case maybe this is somehow indicating that just music permeates everything, since it seems to be almost forming part of this world that's going on here. But yeah, your guess is as good as mine as to what's actually going on in this image and what the purpose of the bird there is. I have no idea, but yeah, I guess they got me, because I'm just like baffled, like, ugh, like I'm not. This is not gonna win my favorite album cover award this month for sure, because unfortunately I'm too uninteresting and unartsy a person to be like, ah yes, this insane psychedelic sketch is my favorite thing. Instead, I'm just gonna be like, well, it's certainly thought-provoking. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's the image, that's the bird, it's doing whatever it is, bird stuff. Then we can talk about the music itself. Yeah, so definitely I listened to like a couple songs in and I'm like, yeah, this I don't think really was appropriate for this show at all. It's kind of similar to, I believe, Kids in Glass Houses was that one kind of indie rock band that I looked at last year, which like really, really, really didn't match even the metal vibes, I'd say. I don't know, like some kind of post-metal stoner thing is the closest like actual metal genre you could contrast this with, but I think it's a little bit reaching. And it's not exactly the kind of music I'd enjoy listening for an entire album's worth. It's like very downplayed guitars, like languid, slow playing, not very fast paced, and often singing, which sometimes is just like a little bit of droning and sing-song, and then sometimes just falls into spoken word kind of almost beat poetry kind of vibes, matter-of-factly saying really strange concepts. It all comes off as very, very surreal, much like the image here, but I don't find it particularly gripping myself. Although, to the album's credit, since the guitars are so like kind of understated on this album, this is a really good album to listen to for the bass. The bass comes through very well through all of the other like soft music here, and you can really hear like some cool bass rhythm in there being played. So if that's an instrument you're interested in, this is actually probably a good thing to listen to on that front. And I'd say the most hypnotizing song and best song here is Kilinch, the fifth song. It's a little bit almost cliche because indeed it has like this strange spoken word rambling going on while the guitar is just like this kind of a little bit kind of goofy kind of easy listening vibes, but the bass like really shines through on it, and it like really goes through a lot. And like after the spoken word is done, the like last third of the song is like these cool like bass-led musical vibes, so it's delightful. Yeah, like I said, that's a delightful song, and there's some interesting cool vibes. Like, because I don't listen to a lot of this music, I'm struggling to like compare like what other band comes to mind, like Manic Street Preachers maybe, or then I think the opening theme to Silent Hill, you know, once the acoustic guitar busts in, but like that's more enchanting to me, honestly. Maybe it's just that because I'm used to Silent Hill, it grabs me. Whereas here, it just kind of, like I said, like there's a catchy song or two in here, but this genre itself, unfortunately, it's not something that I want to listen to for an entire album. And Daily Toll did not manage to sell me on the concept to convert to listening to this thing for an entire album. So this wasn't my scene, and if you are really looking for the metal music, this probably isn't going to be your scene either. But there might be some indie artsy vibes here that might interest some of you. So maybe check out a couple songs or whatever. Ah well, let's just move on. We're taking a second look at Katatonia. Huzzah! This is their second album back from 1996 called Brave Murder Day. Huzzah! If you have forgotten by now, Katatonia was featured on last month's episode with their newest album, Nightmares as Extensions of the Waking State. Good. How did I remember that one? Yeah, had to check my notes that was correct. Yeah, and I was not a big fan of it, because I'm, sadly not a big fan of Katatonia in general, and the new album did not sway me. But I guess as part of the new album release or something, like, as promo or something, Peaceville has released a couple of their old albums, like re-released, so that's why I'm taking a look instead at their second album, to see if maybe this thing works for me better back in the olden days, because, I've seen also people say that Katatonia's sound has changed drastically, like it was much more of a doom metal outfit and became more of a more kind of alternative metal, slightly more newer sound, and mellowed out a lot more, over the years. So maybe the second album will hit me like a little bit better. In fact, like, interesting that I found out that this album has Mikael Åkerfeldt of Opeth actually singing on the album. The Katatonia singer Jonas Renkse basically hurt his vocals when they did their first album, so for this one he couldn't do those anymore. They still stuck with the harsh vocal styles by having the Opeth singer pop in, but basically after this album, I guess, is when the mellowing out happened then, because they kept Jonas Renkse as the singer, I don't know. Anyway, not a lot to say about the bird in this image, because it's just there and it's big. It's a dead bird that's quite unidentifiable. I don't know what it is. Obviously, I don't like seeing a dead bird, but that's quite a stark and effective image to just have a big old dead bird there, really sells with the doomy gothic vibes. And I guess the gothic vibe is more from that purple filter that's been slapped on everything, but sure, let's have that on there as well. Why don't we? Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't have a lot to say about this album cover. Sure, it works as kind of striking simple, but striking simple means I don't have a whole lot to add on it. It's a brutal photo of a dead bird. Yep, that's how it goes. I guess I can really quickly say that old logo of the band is kind of funky, very, I think, selling something a little bit darker than what this band would end up being, it's kind of fun. But, yeah. So musically, yes indeed, we're being hit with something a lot rawer and doomier than what that new stuff that I heard was last month. This is, yeah, definitely the 90s-ness of this is very strong with those discordant chugging guitars. And yeah, I'll say it right away that yes, I did actually like this album more than the last month's newest release from them. I thought this had a little bit more going for it. Like, it starts with the longest song on the album, a 10-minute long track called Brave, because the first 3 songs are Brave, Murder, and Day. That first song, yeah, like, it starts with a doomy, growling, like, opening and some chugging guitars, and then they, like, slip in, like, a really cool guitar riff in there, about, like, 3-4 minutes in or something, that's like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. So it, like, gets some really interesting, like, variety of emotions there, and I quite enjoyed it for that. So that doesn't quite hold up, though, throughout the album. Then it becomes a lot more just kind of melancholic, chugging music that doesn't exactly excite me super much. Like, it's a slow and plodding album, but, like, and slow in itself isn't like some kind of like negative, but in this case, like, it doesn't really grab me all that much. The second to last song, 12, is cool. It's a not entirely instrumental, but there's very little vocals in it. It's still an 8-minute long track. That one really gives a chance for the instruments to show off, and there's some big changes. It's a bit proggy in that sense, and there's some interesting emotions going on there, and like changes in mood, and some cool riffs again. So yeah, there's like individual songs that I really like from this, and ironically, they're the 2 longest songs on the album, because it's not that like chunky otherwise. There's 4 to 6 minute long songs otherwise, but yeah, I said that this was better than I listened to previously, and that's true, but I'm still not particularly fired up by this band. I really hate to do this. I don't really want to have Katatonia be a punching bag for me, because I don't really have anything against the band, but yeah, it's just not exactly very appealing to me. But this one's got a couple of cool, gothic, doomy, super long, wacky songs on it. I'll probably give those a couple of spins in the future, at least. Okay, so Katatonia was not the only band that we're making a return to this month by listening to another album, an oldie album from a previously featured band, because next up we're listening to Lake of Tears with their debut album back from 1994, I want to say? Yes, 1994, called Greater Art. Lake of Tears was featured, I don't remember, sometime last autumn when their third album, Crimson Cosmos, got re-released. If you recall, that was the super psychedelic one with a duck boat and goofy magicians and a pet corgi. It was very funky. Yeah, so for whatever reason, I don't know why these re-releases are happening now, but yes, now the debut album got re-released as well, so might as well listen to it as well. Well then, the album cover. Well, my first inkling is that, oh, that's really cool, because the swan is right there, big front and center, huge, taking flight, very neat. So, you know, good on the bird representation here. We got a less obvious bird, semi-obvious. Swans are fairly often featured, and it's nice there, big, taking up the image. After that, I'm like, it's a little bit like, I don't know, it's not that exciting of an album cover, because it's just that big swan there and a couple of ancillary things on the side, this lady's face, some strings, some roses. But the more you stare at it, it comes back around to being like pretty neat. The lighting work on that swan is sublime, and the way its feathers are lit up makes it look really ethereal. And it's some really amazing work on like getting the lighting on that swan. So yeah, maybe it's not a super exciting composition, mayhaps, but I think ultimately I come around to being like, wow, that's actually a really cool album art, so I dig it. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't call out how fun the band logo here is. That is massive 90s PC game energy. Like, that looks like some kind of licensed D&D RPG logo, so that really gets me. If this was the box art for a video game, my fancy would be tickled, as they say. Yeah. So yeah, very, very fun on that front. But I think overall I did like the Crimson Cosmos album art more for its craziness. This one only wins out on that band logo. Yeah. Musically, then I wasn't super thrilled. It didn't excite me very much, this album. So if I recall correctly, Crimson Cosmos, I was expecting to be some pretty, like, psychedelic music based on its album art, and I almost thought that from, like, a couple of songs, but then it became more gothic rock. And that seems to be what this band is like proper gothic metal, you know, this classic Swedish band. So, especially in its early days, it was more gothic metal, softened up later on, as I understand from what I've read. But I thought this was not a super interesting take on all of that. Like, I guess I'm not sure what exactly I expect out of gothic metal, but, like, I think one part is, like, not like crazy symphonic, but like a little bit of like violins and like organs or pianos or something, and the first couple of songs do not afford any of that. It's just like down to distorted guitars and some like intense, kind of harsh but not particularly shrieky vocals of this guy, and it's all mid-tempo, and the second song came up and I was like, hang on, this seems to just be the same guitar riff as the first song. So it's like, I got like AC/DC for, gothic metal vibes from this, and it wasn't particularly exciting. And that's kind of how it goes for a while. The third song, which is the longest song on the album at 7 minutes, beating out all the other songs, which are between 3 and 5, that had like an interesting like bit synthy keyboard intro, which like, okay, alright, then it didn't really evolve into anything all that more exciting. The second to last song, Netherworld, was a slightly more faster paced, higher tempo song, so that got me fired up just a teensy bit. But still I was like, I don't know. But by the end of it all, like, yeah, like it's an album that rolls along nicely, but it didn't feel like it ever really changed up its vibes all that much, and since this isn't exactly a genre that is particularly near and dear to me, I was not very much interested in this. So I'm sorry to do this constant comparing, but since I have the one reference point of the one album we listened to earlier, Crimson Cosmos, I do think that was better work. This seems to be, in my opinion, a case where the band improved as it went along. Like, this first album is pretty rough, pretty like simple and unrefined. The sound got more refined and got more interesting later on, and the like styles got a little bit more wider, broader, while this one was just kind of chugging dark vibes, metal kind of stuff that I'm gonna have to pass on this first album. Sorry guys, but yeah, whatever. Let's go on. Next up, this is Ramonda and their debut album, The Walls Are Crumbling Down. This is the, I guess, solo project of an Argentinian singer called Santiago Ramonda, who has been doing some work already in bands and like cover songs, as I understood. I don't really recognize their name nor their previous work, but always happy to listen to this first effort here, since it is on theme with the show, because there are 2 birds on this album cover. And let me get the gripes out of the way first, so we can then kind of just talk about how fun this album cover is after that. The problem I have with this image is that center bird there, kind of a little bit to the bottom center there in front of that lady. There's this some kind of wading bird. No, what exactly it is, I don't know, and that's what bothers me here, because well, first of all, just like, it is really exotic looking, so I wish I knew what this thing is, but I really don't know. And I tried to look up like birds of Argentina, but like it's a little hard to just. I'm not very skilled at looking up birds, so I couldn't like get anything smart right off the top. But it just bothers me like how weird that bird's head is with that weird back hair, and in particular how the beak is drawn. Like this is an actual case of like I think the album art is kind of bad because that bird has a strange shaped beak and it's really kissing the leg, like image, art speak wise, it's kissing the leg of that lady. Like it really kind of almost looks like it's fusing in. That's the one thing in this image which would make me almost like say like what the heck, like AI. Like otherwise, this does not ping my AI meter, and there is a person's signature in the bottom right. I couldn't find who the artist is, but I very strongly think this is made by a human artist. But they made a really strange choice in having that bird in the center there, and its strange shaped beak kind of so next to the foot there that it almost seems to blend in there. It just kind of distracts me. So, and again, like I don't know what that bird is. Again, quick look at like what kind of big old wading birds are in in Argentine, and I couldn't find it. On the other hand, though, it's not necessarily even an Argentinian bird because that other bird, which is very lovingly rendered there next to the lady, to the left of her, I'm pretty sure that's a cardinal. And that, I confirmed this by looking up, a red cardinal is only in North America. It does not come down further than Mexico, I think. Okay, that one might be wrong, but it definitely didn't go further south than Central America. So this isn't necessarily supposed to be Argentina represented here, since that bird is flying around there. All this said, if someone there is a South American ornithologist or bird watcher, and you're like, okay, I know what birds these are actual Argentinian birds, please do mention in the comments. I would really love to know that, especially that weird middle bird there. I'd love to know what that is. But yeah. The cardinal, lovingly rendered, really beautiful. The other bird, kind of whatever. And the image itself, very cool, very fun. I immediately, I get the energy here, like the walls in this case are the walls between, this cold, developed, urban world, and then the more naturalistic jungles. It's a metaphor, it's not like there's supposed to be just a jungle, verdant jungle next to whatever these walls are. But yeah, it's a fun concept, and I dig it quite a bit. And I really do like the energy of the idea. Like, you can really sense from the kind of warmth of this lady and the kind of placid vibes of the jungle that the fact that nature is encroaching and busting down the barriers, dividing it from the cold urban world, it's supposed to be a positive thing. It's supposed to feel you get a sense of invitingness from this world outside these walls. So yeah, and that's really well comes through this image. So I do think this is a really nicely done picture, and just the the green versus the cold gray there of the urban versus the jungle, very well done, and choice of animals is fun, not just the birds, but having that jaguar there, although that I'll admit, if it was just a jaguar, then I'd be like, oh my god, I would not feel safe, obviously. In real life, if a jaguar came out through a wall, I'd be like, what the hell? But, obviously the energy here is supposed to be more yes, the noble jaguar, fantastic. I don't know about how historically accurate this lady's scanty wardrobe is, so and apparently she's got the band logo on that staff she's carrying, so yeah, it's going more for that exotic sword and sorcery vibes than sort of accuracy, I suppose, but whatever, Yeah, a really cool album cover. I dig it quite a bit. Musically, I also like this quite a bit, even though it's not exactly my wheelhouse, but I was surprised by how well it kind of clicked with me. It's Frontiers is the label here, and every time Frontiers comes up, I'm a little bit, because they play that, really kind of saccharine, or the kind of music Frontier signs is very often very kind of saccharine and easy listening 80s throwback hard rock / metal. And yeah, this technically is all that, but I don't know, I had a good time. The first opening song, Under the Moonlight, actually starts off, I would say, straight up like hair metal, like was the energy. It's firing on all cylinders, really, with some really cool kind of bit edgy like rhythm guitar versus some really rocking like lead guitar, and no, Mr. Ramonda's vocals immediately get to shine there. He's got a very I would say, kind of Van Halen or Twisted Sister inspired energy. The Twisted Sister was what this first song came to my mind of, like some real hair metal. So yeah, I was really positively tickled happy with that. Then it starts to like crank down a little bit, I would say. It moves into like a little bit less like hair metal, like intense, and a little bit more of just like heavy metal. More like kind of like slower paced and more heavy and like a big arena energy. And then there's quite a few songs which hit you with that more ballady like 80s hard rock energy rather than like really proper metal, I would say. So instead of like Twisted Sister, it really does end up being more like Van Halen or the Scorpions is kind of like where this album wavers vibe-wise. But for whatever reason, like I still do think it was nice to listen to. I would have liked a little bit more variety in the middle there, I think, versus just so much ballading about. But like for what it is, I think there's a decent like switcheroo. It's just that first song promised a lot of stuff that the rest of the album didn't quite deliver. And yes, Mr. Ramonda's singing is still quite good. Yeah, very good. He's a very good singer. I think the other band is fine as well. You know, the guitars are pretty delightful also. And the final song is called World's Gone Crazy. That actually came with a little bit of an alt-rock, alt-metal energy. So it's kind of a nice little capper. Like, this is interesting by having these kind of different energy finishers and enders on this album. Unfortunately, yeah, like it's just gonna make like a little bit more variety between the 9 songs in between the first and last one, which were good examples of this kind of genre. Definitely they got my attention, but still a little bit left something to be desired by the end of all of it. But yeah, pretty good debut effort for this kind of 80s heavy metal vibing. I enjoyed it. So we'll cap this month off with an album that really made me go like, this band is still alive and around? It's Styx, coming out with their 18th album, Circling from Above. Styx, it's the Domo Arigato Mr. Roboto band. Like, yes, this 70s prog rock, arena rock band still exists. Like, wow, okay, interesting. My only recollection outside of that classic song is the, like, a memory that the band disbanded because of bit of strife between creative direction between what was the singer and the rest of the band. I remember the story about the guy who wrote the Mr. Roboto song and like the whole rock opera album that's featured in. He wanted to like have like a proper rock opera show with like acting in between songs, so it's like a huge production, and like the band members were supposed to be, you know, between songs, like putting on like this story, and that caused a lot of friction between the rest of the band, who were like, we just want to play rock music, dude, this isn't cool. And I don't think the fans liked it either. That's like what I remember. I quickly checked that was their original keyboardist / vocalist Dennis DeYoung who pushed for this, and that already happened like really long ago. Like it was like the late 80s when that happened, I believe, and they tried to work a little bit later. They had a couple of starts again. They got back together around the mid 90s, and eventually they had to kick Mr. DeYoung out. I don't know how like messy it was, but they were like, no, this direction, we can't do it. And as far as I can tell, they've just been doing fine since then. Like, the band has been active ever since and has put out like 6 albums in that time. This is now the 6th since the departure of Mr. De Young. So yeah, let's frickin' check it out. Oh, and also I definitely, of course, probably should point out, being a kind of big proggy arena rock 70s act, yeah, I think you could say that Styx also doesn't quite exactly match the whole metal vibe. Like, it's another corner case of does this really count as metal? That's a fair argument to levy against me, so it's kind of, along with Daily Toll, it's quite an unusual setup we have this month. But, first of all, I really like that kind of 70s prog vibiness, so I'm, personally curious. And also, if you guys can't tell, like, July has been a bit of a quiet month when it comes to bird-related music releases. So, in this kind of summer drought we're in, maybe you guys will permit me to just talk about Styx here at the end of the episode. I'd really like that. I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, the bird is pretty easy to spot. I think this image has to be the most birds in one image that we've done so far, right? Because there's this ridiculously huge swarm of birds, which interestingly also forms the shape of a bird. So, like, if those weren't birds, I could have technically allowed this image as well, even with that bird shape that they're forming, although it would have been very much a corner case then. Now, you could technically call me out that you can't really tell what those specks in the sky are, what those particles are. They could just be, particles or anything. But it's an educated guess, first of all. This definitely looks like the kind of shapes that, like, birds like starlings or blackbirds do in the sky. And so you could already make that educated guess. But I've also looked in a little bit. The band released a little, like, promo YouTube short when this album was coming out, which showcases a single bird, which I do believe is a starling, because they talk about starlings, taking flight and joining this giant swarm. And as mentioned in some interviews, the band talks about about specifically starlings. So yes, these are definitely birds, no problem on that front. Kind of interesting, novel idea to have a picture of this kind of big swarm of starlings. So I dig that. Fun, unique choice. And it's quite an interesting image too. Like, the juxtaposition of this battered down radio antenna and these birds is really interesting, because it's like a communications antenna, right? And there is something, like, I'm not sure, but there is like some kind of innate understanding these birds have to form up and make these giant swarms, and also like some kind of coordination that I understand is somehow based on magnetic fields. Maybe that might just be movie trivia, but I think that's the explanation I've heard for, like, how these birds kind of all know to somehow fly in a swarm without everyone bumping into each other all the time, So the juxtaposition, I think, is definitely on purpose, and I don't think it's also an accident that the radio antenna is, like, really coming down, the dish is all busted up and stuff, whereas the birds are coordinating lovely. So interesting vibes, on that front. And also, just the color work is really beautiful. It's so pastel-y and lovely. Very cool, like, shadings here. It's a pretty cool album cover. I can't deny that. Musically, this was also quite a bit of fun, actually. I really did like this album, What can I say? After a long 2-minute kind of bit of an intro song, which, that honestly didn't interest me all that much, we got kind of what I was expecting, which was, with the song Build and Destroy, the second song, was kind of, what I was expecting from my recollections of what Styx was like, mainly from Mr. Roboto and, like, maybe, like, one or two other songs that I may have heard in my life. Kind of synth-heavy prog rock, 70s rock kind of vibes, still retained all these years later very nicely. Very much evokes something like Deep Purple or Uriah Heep were the things that come to mind. So it was, and I'd say it was a little bit more spacey, a little bit more cosmic than those two bands. The synth work is really, doing like kind of funky space agey kind of vibes. Not like super like theremin-y or anything, but definitely invoking that with its energy, so I find that kind of fun. So I go through that for a good while, and yeah, that's the general vibe for about half the album, and I was having a pretty good time already with that. It's about the halfway point of the album where suddenly things get weird and diverse and experimental. It was like, interesting. The seventh song, Everybody Raise a Glass, I mentioned up to this point also, there were some kind of double harmonic vocals there throughout this album. You could have maybe thought about Queen, but I didn't want to name drop Queen because that wasn't that close to it. Except suddenly with song 7, the band suddenly decides, let's be like a Queen tribute band instead. This song, if you would have told me was a cover of a Queen song, I would have believed you. It's so the energy of specifically Killer Queen, what was it, Bicycle Song, that era of Queen. That song's Everybody Raise a Glass. It's got the kind of a Freddie Mercury impression with the singing. It's now instead of synthy keyboards, it's a proper piano, and it's very piano driven. And there's the kind of the choiry bits also there as harmonizing. And they do the thing where there's a guitar solo, where the guitar solo is now very playfully matching the tune that the piano had been playing, very standard, very Killer Queen energy there. So I was, okay. And it just, there's still other wacky stuff that goes on after that. The next song, Blue-Eyed Raven, is a Spanish guitar kind of song, which was fascinating, also interesting variety. And yeah, it just kind of it feels like a different album, honestly, past that halfway point, in a good way. I really enjoyed all the weird trips it took, so I enjoyed it quite a bit. Second to last song, We Lost the Wheel Again. Now we kind of dip into Creedence Clearwater was the energy I got, kind of more rollicking, old school guitar work. So kind of that's fun. It's really the final song, which is a slow kind of bittersweet ballad acting as a kind of motivational song for anybody who's feeling really down and depressed and done with life to instead kind of find the way to go on. That seemed pretty bog standard for an album ender, so okay. But yeah, I for a 13 song long album, it picked up really nicely halfway and carried it through. It was surprisingly enjoyable to listen, being again more 70s prog wackiness than anything actually really, really all that metal, but I had a rocking good time with it. Alright, and that was it for July. Huzzah! Good job, everybody. Interesting month. Or, well, let's be honest. Like I said there at the end of the Styx review, there near the end, it was a bit of a quiet month for this format, wasn't it, this July? Okay, sometimes you get a slow month. Honestly, I'm kind of grateful, in some sense, because there were some incredibly stacked months in the spring, where I was like, whoa, boy, so much to go through. So, slow summer, that's perfectly fine with me. But, yeah, musically, it was oof, because there were a lot of, more rock-adjacent than metal bands. They're really, not counting the, throwbacks to old 90s albums, of which there were 2 here. There was really only one, really properly metal album that was Burden of Ymir. And then, Ramonda kinda, yeah, I think still counts as metal. But then Daily Toll and Styx were really pushing it now, weren't they? Ah, well, it was still enjoyable. So, yeah. Both the favorite album cover and just favorite album musically are kind of tough. I have 2 contenders on both sides, and it's a little bit tricky here. With the album cover, I'm really debating between Burden of Ymir and Ramonda, both which had really fun album covers with some fun stuff going on in them. It's tricky, or maybe I should put Styx in the pile as well, because like that actually was like a really cool concept going on in that image. But I don't know. If we focus on Burden of Ymir and Ramonda, Burden of Ymir. Okay, I don't know. Like I've looked at a lot of fantasy art over the years, so a witch doing spooky like a not like a cartoony like fairy tale witch, but like this more like paganistic shamanistic medicine lady figure doing something ritualistic. I've seen a fair share of those, so that's why I'm like, this is a really cool album cover, but not like crazy like that. And the bird is a little bit superfluous there, although it's nice to have a witch is familiar. Ramonda is more of a fun concept. It's kind of like whoa with the like nature busting down through the walls, very Return to Monkey in that sense. But that damn bird keeps bothering me with the weird beak that kind of blends in with the lady's leg. So like I'm like, oh, that kind of annoys me. So I think I will give the edge to Burden of Ymir, which if you look at it longer, like I said that I've seen a lot of these kinds of images. But, like, there's still some really cool concepts going on. Like, the color choices of the, like, a lot of reds in the lady's outfit and the pot contrasting with the kind of bluish purpliness, pasteliness of the winter background is really nice. She's got cool details on her outfit, and the winter escape is cool. It's got a lot to go for it. So, I think I'm safe in saying it's my favorite album cover. Now, musically, it's even crazier because Burden of Ymir was nice, but like I just didn't stick with me all that much. So the toss-up is actually between the two rock bands here. It's between Ramonda and Styx, because like I guess I'm giving them a little bit of points here because I was surprised that I gelled with this kind of music so much. But which one do I want to nominate to be the best one here? Oh, man. Oh, dude, it's so hard because like Styx was really like taking some crazy swings there, especially like with the like let's try to do all these different bands like Queen vibes and everything. But Ramonda is a little bit truer to the metal focus of this show again. So yeah, and also like I do not want to like I don't want to at all like diminish how like solid some of that riffing was, and just the vibes were often very nice too. Like I'd say there's been similar albums we've listened to earlier, and I think the 80s worship ballading is even heavier on some other albums. This one found a little bit better of a balance between that and then like let's frickin' rock out. So, geez, let's give the reward to Argentina this month. Why not? Let's let that just be the tipping factor here, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, Ramonda was really cool. So I'll say Ramonda was the best album this month. Well done all together. Yeah, but that's about it. That was really nice. Next month, yeah, complete change of situation to this month. Like it looks like every damn bird metal album that could have maybe populated July has decided to stack themselves in August. It is looking crazy like busy with that front. So I'm like, oh boy, oh geez, like they're really making up for this quiet month, huh? So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I got so many of them that I'm made notes of, like probably worth listening to these ones. Yeah. Oh boy, it's a good thing I'm not like going away for an entire week to do like an apprenticeship on journalism, helping out as a photographer on a big journalistic trip to an expo, I'm glad that's not taking up an entire week of my time next month, and thus like really cutting into the time I can look at these albums. Oh wait, oh geez, how could I forget? That's exactly what's happening to me. I guess this is a long-winded way of me, like a craven coward, kind of preemptively apologizing here in case what's entirely possible happens, which is that I can't get the August episode out nicely at the end of August. It's looking like it could very well like get kicked back to like a little bit further on in September, the way I'm honestly looking at the like stack. But it's looking really promising with some of the albums that are releasing next month. So I think it's still going to be super worth it once we actually listen to that stuff. Yeah? Yeah. So, but just like noting already that, it might not be there exactly at the end of August. We'll see how it goes. But regardless, still a bit of summer left for folks here in the Northern Hemisphere. Still a bit of winter wonderland for folks in the Southern Hemisphere, I guess, as we go into August here. Hope everyone has a good time and you look forward to the next episode and you enjoyed the music. As always, of course, remember, please check the description of this video for links where you can go get this music for yourself if any of these albums this month struck your fancy and you would like to support the artists, and check those links out there at the bottom. But otherwise, I'll catch you at some point for the August extravaganza. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.